welcome to the 70th episode of Redeeming the Time. I'm your host, Jacob Wells is my dad, my co-host, Keith Eric Wells, and it is the 70th episode. 7 is the perfect number, so we thought this would be the perfect opportunity to have the well-requested episode of having our wives on here. This is my wife, Callie. This is my mom,
Leanne Wells, my wife. So how long have you two been married now?
Going on 3 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Next week.
7 days.
So sweet.
6-7 days.
Yeah.
So
We've been married 30 years now. So that's awesome. And we're going to have them share with us through 1 Samuel 21. 1
Yes.
Samuel 21. But before that, oh, by the way, we were talking about the different Easter candies and stuff like that.
the chocolates.
Yeah, and Uncle Ron got me the Palmer chocolate. It's still in the case, and it will probably stay there because, yep.
We'll see how long
It
it
just-
lasts.
Yeah, we'll do the test, see how long it lasts before it becomes
Just looks fake.
completely gross. Yeah, something like that. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead. You had something they told me you wanted to tell me. What's going on here?
So, I don't know if you guys have seen the trend where you put tape on your mouth. Like, there's this special tape that doesn't rip your face off when you take it off. But you put it over your mouth while you sleep so that it forces you to breathe through your nose. And it's supposed to help with snoring and just breathing better during sleep. I don't know if it works because I think I've done it 10 times, and 8 out of the 10, when I wake up, I don't have the tape on my mouth anymore.
Dude.
I don't know where it goes.
You don't know where it's
I
at?
have no idea where it's at. Well, one
Found a
time,
couple of them. One I found on my neck in the morning.
so
So explain what kind of sleeper you are.
yeah, I don't know if we've ever gotten into that.
Yeah.
This is a perfect episode to go over. I
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
I'm everywhere when I sleep.
Yeah.
The funniest story is when we were about to leave. I think it was wedding year in Hilton Head,
Yes.
and we had to be up early to leave.
His sister's wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had to be up early to leave to just get out of there. And Joe and I, of course, stayed up way too late, and I don't know if lack of sleep has anything to do with it. But anyway, there was a picture frame. There was a picture frame right by my bed, and
On the wall.
on the wall. and apparently during sleep, I took it off the wall and started cuddling this thing. And I woke up, and my mom wakes in.
No, I came in to wake you up.
Yeah.
And you're laying in your side,
Just
bear
holding
hugging
this picture frame, and I wake up and I'm just like, yeah, like I'm a zombie in the morning, and I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea picture frame. I'm like, why is my leg like cold? It's because I'm cuddling glass. And then I just go take a shower, come back, and I'm like not even thinking of it. I see the picture frame in my bed. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then later on, my mom asked me, why were you holding a picture frame? So that's the type of sleeper that I am. There's a lot more stories that we don't have to
So
get
have you
into.
eaten any of these?
I don't know.
If you can't find them.
I don't know. Maybe.
Ask Callie for her 3 years of I don't even know.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos during her sleep. Good thing she's a good sleeper.
Yeah. Don't you have a list,
Yeah.
a
my
note
phone.
somewhere of the things that have... Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
My favorite one was the time we're on vacation and you jumped up on the bed
Yeah, this is
and
when I-
started doing like what do they call it? Football players do the shakedown thing where they're just
running in place.
running in place type thing.
In a double bed.
What are you
sleeping with
doing?
Joe.
No, it was Emily. This was...
That one was with Emily.
That was Emily.
That one was
that was Wild West.
Okay.
Wild West. The West trip.
Okay.
There was other ones with Joe. we gotta move on.
Yeah, I need to move on. That was crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna put you ladies on the spot. We'll get to know you a little bit here. The audience will get to know you a little bit here. All right. If you are let's put it this way. If you are headed to space by yourself for 10 years.
First of all, neither of them would like that
No.
at all.
Being alone for 10 years. Okay, you're with us. All right.
Okay.
For 10 years, just the two of you, just the two of us. All right. And you can take any movie or book with you outside the Bible, because we know that's going to, that's going to be your answer. What are the top 3 things you would take? I'll let Jacob answer that first so you ladies can think.
Movie, I want something that you can watch over and over again.
It's
It's not my favorite movie, but something that I would be able to watch over and over. It's my favorite comedy, which is Pink Panther. I would choose Pink Panther. Then I would probably...
Really? For 10 years?
Steve Martin Pink Panther.
Can I do a series of books?
Sure.
I would take something that would, like, not Lord of the Rings, but like Harry Potter or something. Something that it's more than just one book. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then, what's the third one? I would take some ball so I can throw against the wall. To keep me moving, you know.
All right, who wants to go?
How about you go? Then
They can still think?
Yeah.
All right. I would take along a series. I would take, probably like the Star Wars series. That would be good.
Oh, movies?
Yeah.
I could have done that.
You
Nah,
did.
I want to laugh. I want to laugh. Pink Panther.
Book-wise. Oh, boy.
Animal Farm.
I wasn't prepared for his own question.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't going to answer my own question because it was only supposed to be for you ladies. So we got to know you a little bit better. I'll come back to you on a book. Go ahead, Leanne.
What's your third thing? Boomerang?
Sure.
I don't know. Probably movies would probably have to be Indiana Jones movies.
Oh,
Indy.
Yeah. Those would
Bad
probably
ditch.
be. Books, I don't know. Probably some sort of biographies.
Ah, okay.
I don't know.
We're letting you off easy. Okay.
Yeah, I
What's
don't
your
know
third thing?
specific.
2 biographies. That's her third thing.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite biography?
I don't know.
Of all the
Susie.
Yeah.
Susie,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was written on Susanna Spurgeon.
Yeah.
That was very
That
good.
was a very good book.
It was very good.
Put out by Moody Press.
Yes.
Our daughter
Pub-
putting a plug in there for you.
Moody Publishers, yeah.
We're going to get flack for not having her on.
She'll be
I
100th
don't know
or
what
something.
the
Yeah.
other thing would be.
All right.
Boomerang.
Probably a Diet Coke.
10-year supply of Diet Coke.
1 sip a day.
Okay. Well, if it was just a movie, you know what movie I would pick.
Tangled.
Tangled. If
For
it was
10 years?
Yeah.
She loves
Yeah.
it.
All right.
If it was a series, probably Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. My book series, you probably also know.
I don't know. You've read so many
That's
series.
true. Aragon is my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And then my other
Movie's terrible.
We've all picked
The
fiction.
movie is-
I love
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well,
The
yeah,
movie's terrible.
totally. And then my third item would be my guitar.
Ah.
that would be-
Makes
Get
sense.
some music.
We don't
and
have
space.
any.
Yeah.
We don't have any.
That would keep you occupied for
There you go.
every day.
We don't have
That would
anything
be
like a
awesome.
guitar. All right, you're not getting off the hook. What is your...
I have no clue.
You said we weren't going to
I'd
let
bring
them off
some.
the hook.
I'd bring some music. Yeah, of some sort.
CD player,
There you go.
record player,
I'd bring my.
cassette tapes.
Yeah, I still have a.
8-track.
I have a whole. I've never owned an 8-track in my life. I've owned records. I've never owned 8-tracks. I had hundreds of cassettes. So when we were kids, they were in high school. They'd have this thing, Columbia House Records, and like 3 or 4 times a year, they'd get you hooked, and they'd have all of the latest big name artists out. And if you for $1 or something like
99
that.
cents.
99 cents. They would send you 10 or 12 of them, but then you were in a 3-year contract with them to buy. They would send you one to your house every month, and you could listen to it and send it back. But if you didn't send it back in time, you were paying top dollar for this thing, and you had to buy at least 3, I think, over the next 3 years.
I never did it.
Oh, I did, yeah. And I wound up, forgetting to send it back and
Well,
buying some
sending things back
terrible
then-
album that you didn't want.
Sending things back then was not easy.
Yeah, that was not easy.
No.
So that was. Why was I talking about that?
You
were talking about
Music. Yeah.
Okay.
So I still have a bunch of cassettes, and I got tons of CDs.
So all of us like traveling. We've talked about.
We are going to get to the Bible, I promise you.
We're gonna get to know.
Okay.
We're only doing 2 segments here, so
Yeah, we're not doing church history today, just so you know. So you don't get nervous.
Let's talk.
All right.
Like we were just going to Five Guys or something. So we all like traveling. We've talked about traveling, where our bucket list places are, and so let's ask some of these questions. Some of the conversations that we've had. Let's get their takes on it. So, what is your number one item or place on your bucket list of going? Where do you want to go the most?
I have 2 places. I want to go to Ireland at some point
Ireland.
in my life, and then I think the top right now is Banff.
And Glacier.
Yeah. She's been to Glacier.
Glacier
That's her
is
favorite.
my favorite.
Yeah. I
Mom?
would say I want to go to the area outside Newfoundland, up there, or like over into Norway, Sweden, all of those, and of course always more national parks.
How many are you at now?
43, I think.
I think it's
Yeah.
43 of how many? 60.
63. Yep. Maybe 42. I don't know.
Has yours changed? Your traveling places?
I want to go to Australia.
Down under.
Yeah. A couple other places. Yeah. That's big.
All right, if you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would it be?
Oh, boy. Gosh. Yours was lame. What was yours again?
Mine was not lame.
What was it?
Flying,
Okay. All right.
I think. I don't know.
No, I don't think it was. I think it was
Can
something
check.
stupid.
I'd be teleporting
Teleport.
I was
wherever
gonna
I
say.
want to go.
Do you have you
That was mine. See?
Yeah, then
Did
I
you
could
have
just
to-
go. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to get a flight. You can just
so
could
what
be
are
there in
the
a second.
requirements here? You've had to be there before?
No.
Or
No.
you just look at a place and
You
say,
look at it, you can just go.
or you can just think of it in your mind.
Yeah, and then we could be at all the national parks in a week.
That's the reason why.
And then what are you gonna do?
Oh, I'd find other places.
Canadian national parks.
State
Yeah.
parks.
Australian
You
national
got
parks.
state parks. There's a lot of good state parks.
All right, here. What are people surprised to learn about you? I'll ask another one that's easier.
Oh, I know
so that
one.
you can.
A lot of people are surprised to know that I was a big tomboy growing up.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know why they're surprised by it. Not like I am really girly, but they're surprised that I was a tomboy growing up.
But you only toss baseball with me
Oh.
a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Just one time ever. Just tennis and all that.
She probably tossed baseball with me 1,000 times, but I make it a point to say that she only did it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But whatever. What are people surprised
I don't know.
at work? What are people surprised?
I mean, people kind of know now that I like sing and play guitar, but at first people didn't. At work, they didn't know that about me because they had never seen me do that. But
See, put IVs in all day.
yeah,
Yeah, they call her One Stick Cow.
nobody calls me.
That's her nickname around
Around the hospital.
Around those parts.
Get old one stick Cal in here.
Okay, but
and you're
they
probably
do.
quiet at work, so they're probably surprised you get up in front of people.
But if they do need to get an IV in, they do know who to call.
One stick cow.
I'm gonna brag on her. What has been your favorite mission trip that you've gone on? And obviously all of them are great in their own ways, but what is the one that sticks out in your brain? Sticks out in your mind?
Does it have to be group?
No, I don't think his wasn't. I don't think.
But probably the first time I ever went to visit a missionary, which would have been Parentines, Brazil, when we were 19, 20 years old with the Lessas. Group would probably be the first one. I always enjoy Brazil, but I think it would probably be the first one that all of four of us went to Belize, where he and I, because we had
That's
always
my first
left you guys home, so that was the first one you guys were both able to go with us.
That was my first one.
Yeah.
Probably for me would be the trip to Brazil, 2018.
I don't know. They all blur together.
I think it
2018.
was 2018, yeah.
When someone was putting certain people in certain groups.
Yeah.
Leanne did that the whole trip, I know.
Just so happened Jacob and Kelly ended up
They weren't
in
dating.
the same.
But I was putting together the trips, what would you call it? Groups would go out for visitation or for VBS, or then they just happened to be in the same groups together. Right?
Keith was working it.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. That was a good trip, though. That was
That was a very
the first one where we were not we were as a group of friends.
Yeah, you weren't
group
kids.
of friends. We
you
weren't kids anymore, so we were actually able. One of the times you just sent all of us
Yeah.
to, and that was pretty cool because it was like, okay, I don't know if you did that on purpose, but it was okay.
No, you guys were old enough to do it,
Yeah,
and
time for you guys to lead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all of us leading together in something. Before it was just we were just not little helpers, but helpers along the process. I was not little.
Well, and that was the time Jonathan saw a need somewhere else, and so he split one group into two, and you ended up leading one
Yeah,
of
that was
them.
the first time.
That
I was
last
like-
minute leading. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
yeah.
All right.
One more.
Okay.
What is your two more? They go hand in hand.
All right.
What is your favorite hymn, and what is your favorite Bible verse?
Oh boy, you did put him on the spot.
You know your favorite hymn,
Mm-hmm.
and you know your favorite Bible verse.
All right. Go ahead.
What are we doing here?
My favorite hymn is "Be Thou My Vision," and then my favorite verse is Isaiah 40:31.
I like How Deep the Father's Love, and I really like it as well. This puts me on the spot because I don't really have a verse.
Yeah.
It changes depending on my
Where you're
season of life and those kind of things. So that's going to look really bad, but I don't really have
I don't
a
either. I'm the
favorite.
same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to clear something up before we ask you your testimonies, just so you guys know that it's coming.
Okay.
But the when we were doing Philippians 4:13, my mom, afterwards we talked about this, where we were saying taking that verse out of context. I made it look like she took it out of context with making me say that before throwing every pitch.
Yeah.
That wasn't the motive behind it. The motive behind it was if you want to talk about that.
The motive behind it was to have him rely on the Lord and the things that he was doing no matter what it was. Not that I thought that every pitch that the Lord was going to be in every
Make this
pitch.
curveball curve.
Yeah, like go strike him out. The Lord was in that. I mean, it was more just trying to teach you to focus on no matter what you were doing.
Yeah.
On the Lord. Even little things like pitching. And
Yeah.
it was more just to calm you
Yeah.
than
There's more to the game than just throwing
Yeah.
a ball.
Yeah.
And
More to
that's-
life. Yeah.
And-
So
yeah,
that's what
just your whole demeanor, everything about you, why you were a pitcher, and your attitude, character, all those things.
So you guys hear from us all the time, even in church. You might hear Kelly sing. You
I'd hear Mom sing.
You might hear Leanne
Doubt it.
head up devotions and things of that nature, but you might not have heard their testimony. So part of this today, we wanted to share their testimony. So Kelly, we'll start with you and give us, how you came to Christ and whatever else you want to share with that.
So I grew up at Friendship. My parents moved back to the area when I was about 2, and I've been coming to Friendship ever since. I was blessed with Christian parents, so I grew up not only hearing the Word of God at church, but also at home. So when I was about age 6 or 7, I knew that I was a sinner and I knew that I needed salvation, and so it was a decision that I made on my own at home. And then if you knew me as a child, you know that I was very shy. So after I got saved, I didn't tell a single adult, which, why I decided to do that, I don't know. But so a couple years went by. I was 10. We were here at church on a Sunday night, sitting up in the balcony. And during the invitation, I leaned over to my mom and I said, "Hey, I want to get baptized." And my mom goes, "Well, are you saved?" Because I had never told her that decision that I'd made. So we talked through it, making sure that I understood the decision that I had made, and went down and talked with Pastor Gary, just making sure that I understood what I had. I understood salvation, and then I got baptized a couple weeks later by Brother Phil. And throughout my teenage years, I really struggled with assurance of my salvation. A lot of my friends had written in their Bible, this is the date that I got saved, this is where I was, and I didn't have that. I didn't have a specific date that I knew was the date of my salvation. So something that Satan really used to kind of make me doubt that assurance of my salvation. And then I think it was either freshman or sophomore year of high school, we were at Fort Bluff camp. There was a specific night that after the message, our youth group stayed. Everybody else left the service, and our youth group stayed for, I think, at least an hour, just like talking and praying and sharing testimonies. It was just a really cool, unique night. And I really heard God speaking to me that I didn't need to doubt my salvation. I could look back at my life, and the relationship that I had with him was real. And that I could look back at all the times that he was with me, and that I could put my trust in that and stop doubting my salvation and just work on growing.
Amen. That's great. Miss Leanne.
Mom.
So I did not grow up in a Christian home. I grew up right on the other side of Crest County, but I was a senior in high school at Coleraine, and I was in a photography elective class. I only needed a few credits to graduate, so I was taking anything and everything. But the Lord was in it, and Margot Menger and Tanya Ponting were Copley, and they were in the class as well, and they knew Terry was coming here, my sister, and they knew that I was her sister, and so they befriended me and started inviting me to come to church and youth outings and things like that. I mean, I was 18 at the time, so it was short-lived, but so I started coming probably towards the end of 1998. 89. Wow, you were born in 98. Wow. Yeah. Okay,
I remember that part of
88.
the story.
88, and I got saved February 1st of 1989. And
Tell that though. That's important.
what part?
What were
I
you
had
getting?
come forward. I didn't go forward at church. I had just spoken to somebody afterwards and said that I wanted to learn more about being saved, and they took me over to Brother Preston's house, and he and Miss Billy led me to the Lord in their living room on Woodsong, where they lived there. So, yeah. Since then, I've never gone anywhere else but here. Shortly after that, my life changed completely. Just decisions I had to make of letting people out of my life, and or taking people out of my life, and just changes. I mean, I was never a bad kid, never a partier, but there were just certain people I needed to remove.
One specific,
a boyfriend.
Yeah. Tough luck, buddy.
And then about the same time I got saved, your family had just started coming about that time.
Tell why you broke up with him.
Oh.
This is
well,
good.
I had
Right?
gotten saved, and and even before that, he would not come to church with me. I mean, it was drastically different. And then he wouldn't come to my baptism, and I just knew then it needed to end. He wouldn't come or do anything. So
See you, David.
just said his name.
His name's Jeff, actually.
So yeah, I broke up with him, and then, which was so far out of my character at the time. I was very backward and just, I don't know.
I wouldn't say backward. You were just
I was
shy.
very backward.
You both were shy.
You were shy.
I didn't know
Yeah,
you, obviously.
I was shy, but I was just kind of just a follower. Not a follower. That sounds bad because I wasn't.
You weren't that either.
Yeah, I don't know. But then your family started coming at about the same time. But you grew up in church, and then so we started dating.
Our
in
senior years.
Senior year,
Young love.
March 25th, which he doesn't remember, by the way. But
Oh,
I have
forget.
proof. It's in my calendar. I wrote it down. I wrote everything down in this little paper calendar. So we started dating in
Our
20.
first date was Jack and Mindy
wedding.
Fisher's wedding. Yep.
Yeah. And then we started dating a week later. And yeah. So
And then I headed off to college.
yeah, 5 months later, we started dating in March. And 5 months later, you went to college, and we dated the whole time, and we've never left here. Since when I got saved, my parents weren't saved. Both my parents are saved now, and my sisters and brother-in-laws, I mean, everybody. So
I've been very humble in that. She's had the opportunity to lead her middle sister to the Lord, her grandfather to the Lord, her mom, and through that, her dad eventually accepted Christ as well, which is one of the cooler accounts.
Yeah.
He just he felt her pulling away, and decided he needed to accept Christ. So really cool.
and he would tell me, "How do you even know there is a God?" type
Yeah.
thing.
He'd-
So
Yeah.
the
Somewhat
Lord,
mock you a little bit.
yeah, and the
and-
Lord changed. I mean,
Yeah. Once he got
completely
180.
changed his
Yeah,
life.
once he got saved, I mean, for years did a prison ministry in Franklin County, Indiana, just leading people to the Lord, and very cool. So, one person, doesn't matter what age.
So before we get into 1 Samuel 21, I just have another question. How does it feel to have two guys that are so devilishly handsome?
I am very fortunate.
Before we get into that, tell the
What
story of
Will said
Will.
the other day.
Will Simpson III.
We were practicing some music for SWAT, and he opened his binder, and there was, of course, a long hair in there. I was like, I'm sorry, it's probably mine. I said, Jacob complains about my long hair all the time. And Will said, well, do you complain about his lack of hair? I said, no, I don't.
And then what did he say?
He's like, well,
He has no right.
yeah, no right to complain.
That's funny.
All right, that's Will Simpson the third.
The third.
You told me I had to call him Bill, though.
Yeah,
Bill.
he's Bill or Will Simpson the third. He's a very distinguished gentleman.
Yes.
Yep. Going to Cedarville. Congratulations, bud.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going in
For
their music
music.
program, so that's good. All right, we're in one of the shortest chapters in 1 Samuel. You guys have been like, thank you for getting there right. We've been, but good stuff.
Yeah.
And so
This is another odd chapter. Not odd, but it's just
this is a turning point for David. This
Yeah.
is a chapter where he's starting. Well, he's been tested, but now out on his own. How's he going to survive?
so. Recap last week. Jonathan tries. They have the meal. Jonathan's trying to vouch for him.
Yeah.
Jonathan allows him, comes up with that scheme to get him away with the arrows
Yeah.
and everything. And at the end, Jonathan sends the signal, which then they depart, they hug, and then
Yeah.
David's on his own. He's on his own at this point, and he's trying to get.
So what's he going to do? He has no food. He has no weapons. What is he going to do? So we see here at the beginning of this, ladies feel free to chime in.
But doesn't he have people he's trying to take care of, too? It's not just himself?
No,
Not at this point.
he actually doesn't have them. He makes that's a thing I wanted to discuss there. So he heads to Nob, where this apparently place where a bunch of priests were, and Ahimelech, the high priest of the time, or at least the head priest for King Saul, he heads to him looking for food. So this is where the tabernacle apparently is being held at this time, and
He asks him, "Why art thou alone? No man with thee." I never picked that up, because at the end of the chapter, he's in the cave in a duel with all the guys, and I just
the
saw
next, people start to come to him after
it.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you got at the beginning, he comes to Ahimelech, and Ahimelech's like, what's going on here?
He's afraid.
Yeah, why are you by yourself? But apparently he doesn't know the whole controversy between Saul and David, because he wouldn't have helped him. And we're going to find out next couple weeks, he definitely wouldn't have helped him if he knew what was going to come of this. So what were your thoughts at the beginning of this chapter, ladies? Did you have any thoughts, questions, observations?
I thought that he did have people with him.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because here in verse 5, when they were talking about the holy bread, David says, "Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days." So was he by
Is he
himself,
still
or-
lying? Even
I
then?
think he's lying.
Okay.
He might have had some of his mighty men start to build up, but I don't think he does yet, because it talks later about how men started to come to him when he gets to Adullam in chapter 22. But he lies why he is there. He lies
what he's doing.
what he's doing, and he even embellishes on this. King's told us this. Keep it quiet, because he's sent me on this journey, and he doesn't want anyone to know, the enemies and all that type of thing. And in this, we're going to see even at the end of the chapter, it gets even worse. He's lying to the priest of God about his intentions, and because he's looking for food, and he's
Desperate.
Yeah, he's desperate.
5 chapters ago, he was anointed as the king, and it's like, okay, now he's gonna ride into the kingdom with sunshine and rainbows, and that's the opposite of what's happening.
Yeah.
I only thought it was, sorry to go
Go ahead.
back, but
No.
because Jesus recounted this story in 12,
Right.
and he says, Matthew 12, and he entered in the house of God and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them that were with him,
Oh, there you go.
only for the priests.
Look at you. You got it.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So good call. The interesting thing there is about the bread. Was this bread lawful for him to eat? And the first thing it tells that they had to be clean. So the table of showbread was this table in front or to the side inside the holy place, outside the Holy of Holies, and they would exchange this bread at a certain rate, as it tells us here, that they were about ready to put new bread out there. And the priests seemed to think, like in Jesus' time, that it was only for the priests to eat. But the whole purpose of it was to represent fellowship with God, as you had the one that represented the prayers, one that represented the Word of God, the Holy Spirit. Now you've got this fellowship with God as well. So as long as you were there and you were holy, clean, you could eat of that bread. So he wasn't taking it unlawfully, but he did lie about why he needed it.
Yeah.
So was that the right thing to do? I know you've had some teenager ask some questions similar.
Is it ever okay to lie, basically? And yeah, I don't. In this, no, it's not. This is one of the lowest points. Obviously, it's to this point of his life. This is one of the lowest points that we'll see David. Obviously, we'll see it later on with different sins, but this is when he is one of the most desperate. When he's the most desperate, and when he is at the furthest away from God. And then we'll see where he goes from that.
Yeah.
At the end with one of the Psalms.
Yeah, he has two spots where he intentionally does not follow God in this time frame. And this is the first part. This is just a testing at the beginning, I think, that he learns from. And eventually, at the end, he'll have a situation where he's just like, I'm done. I'm sick of running.
And it makes it like humanly in your flesh, it makes sense because you're running away, you have no food, no weapon, no, like, very few people with him, and he gets to he tries to figure out a way, and his flesh takes over, and
if he did have people following him,
it's even more of
the pressure's on, so that's even worse.
I don't think it's ever okay to lie, but I feel like when we read about David or some other people, it's like we put them on a pedestal, and like they shouldn't be, but they're still human.
Yeah.
And so they're going to do it, and especially this case, he pays for it later with other people's lives.
He'll come to regret this for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, this, we don't want to, if you've read ahead, but I mean, this will cost Ahimelech and a lot of other men their lives. Yeah. And who knows, maybe their families too. I don't know. It doesn't really share that. Maybe it does. I don't know. But
so he gets the showbread, and then he also, I don't have a weapon. And so
Ahimelech had to be like, what?
Yeah.
You're the lead general. How do you not have a weapon? But he had to leave in haste, he said.
He asked for the weapon after he saw Doeg, though, right? The chief guy for Saul.
Always just that Doeg was a guy that was there and saw him. I don't think that had anything.
I think he saw him, but then he asked for the weapon. I thought
he did.
It is after, but I don't.
That might not have been why.
I don't think that's why. I think he just needed a weapon.
Yeah.
And so he's got this massive sword
that he couldn't hold.
That he could barely. Well, he was a kid then. Now he's not a kid, but still.
It wasn't discreet.
Oh my goodness, he's still not much older than he was when he killed Goliath. So now he's got this massive sword.
I never noticed that though, Mom. That he sees one of Saul's men. Mm-hmm. That might be like the spark in his brain. Like, oh.
Yeah, I think he knew he was in trouble when he saw him.
It might be.
Yeah. I always took it as that, maybe, but I always took it that Doeg was sort of the guy in...
Like we were talking about the other, like how...
little sneaky dude.
Like how Saul didn't have somebody always watching David.
Yeah.
He is that guy. He's the guy peeking around the corner.
And he winds up being that guy throughout. He's a thorn in David's side until later in life. He gets his comeuppance after that point. So he gets the sword... and he heads out.
Yep.
So it wasn't right to lie. And now he's trying to do anything in his power. I think that's the big takeaway from this chapter would be, what do we do in our own strength? This is the chapter to figure it out.
Yeah. And it continues when it says, David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul and went to Achish the king of Gath.
What's going through your mind?
So Achish the king of Gath. Gath is it the capital city of the Philistines? It's one of the cities.
It's one of the main cities, yeah.
And
it's where Goliath's from.
yeah, and he has Goliath's sword. And you'll see this, yeah. But again, going to he lied, and now his actions, he doesn't rely on the Lord. Okay, where do you want me to go? He's saying, okay, I just need to go away from Saul. The place that Saul would not look for David is with the enemy. So that's probably, I don't know, that might be his thinking, but either way, he goes to the enemy under his own idea of how to get away from Saul.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be completely out of his senses at this point, because here's a guy that follows the Lord, was anointed because he follows the Lord, and he's going to the world for help. And it's mind-boggling to see that that's where he would go. And you would only do this if you've not gone to the Lord.
Yeah.
And
So
But I think would I have done any better? I mean, I'm in haste. I'm running
for your
with
life,
people
again.
for my life.
Yeah.
And when you're first going through trials or things like that, sometimes it takes time before you realize I can't do this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was just a learning process
so what
as
did?
he went.
Yeah.
So those last 4 verses I kind of want to read.
Yeah. What's he do? Yeah.
And the servants of Achish and said unto him, Is not this David, the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dances, saying, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? So they're saying, Is this is this true? Like, is this real? The guy that just killed Goliath?
What did they call him though?
Yeah.
What did they
the
recognize
king
him
of
at?
the land.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they know that is this real?
Were they questioning him or mocking him?
No,
I
think it
think
was a respect thing.
Yeah, I think they're going to Achish like, why is he here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is he coming into our hands?
Yeah.
With very few people. Yeah. And David laid up these words in his heart and was sore afraid of Achish the king of Gath. Yeah, because he just killed their champion a few chapters ago. They still know who he is, and he changed his behavior before them. So here's another. He changes his behavior. Didn't pray. Didn't rely on the Lord. He takes matters into his own hands. And he feigned himself mad in their hands, and scrabbled on the door of the gate, and let his spittle fall down upon his beard. So he acts like he's a crazed man.
Right. He's
got spit on his beard. He starts scraping at the door like a maniac. And then Achish unto his servants, Lo, ye see this man is mad. Wherefore then have ye brought him to me? Why did you bring this to me? He's a madman. And then he says, Have I need of a madman, that ye have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? So it works, but we'll see that David even knows that it wasn't because he did that. It was because the Lord was with him.
Yeah, God protected him in spite of himself.
Yeah, and
that's this
the
situation. Key. Yeah,
but imagine being the Philistines here. Like, put yourself in King Achish's shoes. He's like, yeah, that is David. Oh, he's scraping at the door. Oh, he's a crazy man. Why did you bring him to me? And then, as you see, it ends there, kind of an abrupt ending. But it continues, and he sees that it allowed David to get out of there.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry. It's just God's hand that they just didn't kill him.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, he's a crazy dude. Just go out and be
basically
done.
Another lie, though.
Oh yeah,
it was another lie.
Yeah, it was another lie on top.
Yeah,
he took it into his own hands, and in spite of himself, God protected us. We protected him, and he protects us because we do the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
But didn't you say Psalm 34 is after this? Then he wrote that, and you can see that he realized it was God.
So what is the psalm?
I think Psalm 56 was written. It says during when he was captured in Gath.
Yeah. So verses 10 and 11, Psalm 56 is written, and it's all about what did you say?
Like being in the midst of his enemies. And
Oh yeah.
Protect me and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Psalm 21, Psalm 34 is written, and this is the turning point in his life, and until obviously he sinned later and he's continued to sin.
Oh
but,
yeah.
But the shift.
Yeah.
So chapter 56 was supposedly written
While he was arrested.
during 1 Samuel 10 and 11. So you want to read some of that?
The beginning says, "Be merciful unto me, O God, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresseth me. My enemies would daily swallow me up, for they be many that fight against me, O thou most high. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee."
So you see the shift in David's mind. He realizes, what am I doing? And he's with the Philistines, and then he leaves. He writes Psalm 56 while in captivity with the Philistines, and then he leaves. And the first verse of chapter 22 says that he's in a cave in Adullam with a bunch of other guys, and people start following. It's a bigger group now, and this is an acrostic, Psalm 34, but it leaves out I don't know how to say it. It leaves out one letter. But Psalm 34 is all about praising, fearing, and crying out to the Lord, and how good God is and how he protects you from the evil. And so he's in this cave and he's writing this poem. So the first 8 verses I kind of want to focus on, if that's all right. So you have where did David's heart immediately go? He was running for his life. He tricked Ahimelech to eating showbread. He has Goliath's sword. He lied about that. He humiliated himself by acting crazy, taking matters into his own hands. And now he's sitting on a hard cave instead of a nice palace with a nice seat with a harp. And where does he go? Man, I hate you, God. How could you do this to me? How could this happen? I was anointed, all this. No, he goes, I will praise your name continually. My soul shall boast in you. I will magnify and exalt your name. I sought you and you heard me, delivered me from my fears. These people around me saw how you took care of me, and their eyes were radiant toward you. This poor man, David speaking of himself, crying out, signifying a harsh and sharp plea that didn't have elegance to it. He's crying out, and it comes from deep within his soul saying, Lord, you have me, and I will praise your name continually. You heard me. I took matters into my own hands, and you still took care of me. And then in verse 8, you see, O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him. And it just continues going on in that chapter where you see the word good. I don't know how many times, but it's like every other verse.
Yeah.
And that, how many times in our lives do we do stuff in our own strength and own ability, and we realize, what are we like? We have this moment. What are we doing?
God
and then you look
us.
back. Yeah, God convicts us, and then you look back and you see that we stepped away from the Lord, but the Lord was still right there with us the whole time, protecting us, making sure that, not making sure, but allowing us to continue and not.
And we learn from those, and it draws us closer to him, and we love him, and
that's what he did, as we'll see in the future weeks.
Yeah.
And
it makes him a stronger leader. You grow as a leader, you grow as a person, and each of those steps.
So I bring that. I want to go into that a little. I wanted to go into that a little more because with the youth ministry, I want chapter 34, verse 8, to be one of the verses that we can, that they see, because as teenagers, we all did it. They all do. Every teenager does it, where they feel invincible. They feel like they can do anything. We do stuff in our teenage years of, this is what I'm going to do, and take matters into our own hands. But the Lord is still good, and he's still with us the whole entire time. And when when you realize, because everyone has,
When the light bulb
when the
comes
light
on.
bulb comes on, and you look back and you see, wow, he is good, and I need to trust him. And like,
Oh, yeah.
So
You think back,
what was I doing?
yeah. I mean, I
There's so
still, in my 50s, I'm like, oh,
I was a
man.
bonehead.
Well, yeah, you look back at your teenage years or 20s and you're just like, oh my goodness, my life could have been in such a different direction.
But the Lord was there.
But the Lord was there. He protected me in spite of myself. He put people in my life. All kinds of things. Yeah.
My Bible note says, taste and see does not mean check out God's credentials, but it's a warm invitation to follow him. When we take that first step of obedience and following God, we cannot help discovering that he is good and kind. When we begin the Christian life, our knowledge of God is partial and incomplete. As we trust him daily, we experience how good he is.
Yeah.
You want to sing it?
Yeah, there's so many.
It's going through your head, isn't it?
There's so many songs that come out of this. I never realized it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Shane and Shane.
the Shane and Shane
verse
taste
4.
and see is
It's the
spectacular,
and
especially
verse
when
4
he
is one
jumps
too.
at an octave.
But you see, also he's in a cave with other people, and he's inviting them too. He said, "Oh, magnify the Lord with me."
Mm-hmm.
And you see that a few times where, hey, this is what happened. You see, like,
Yeah.
this is what we need to do, and join me in this. And,
Humility.
yeah. So.
Very good. Anything you ladies want to add? Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Best episode ever.
Ever. That's exactly right.
See if the views are more because of Callie.
All right. I've got a joke. Mine's really bad, but go ahead if you've got one.
You can go first.
All right.
Well, do you guys have any jokes?
Oh, do you
looked
have
for
jokes,
one, and I
ladies?
could not find a good one. I was disappointed in myself. I wanted a good one.
You
Yeah.
sent me one the other day.
Did I?
Yeah.
Because
Send it on
she's
my good
funny,
one.
right?
Say
So there's this constant.
Say it.
There's this
Say
constant
it.
thing in our house where she wants him to say, "Mom, you're funny," and he refuses to say
Say
it.
it one
He has
time.
told me.
One time.
I'm sticking with it.
All right, you might. This is an easy one. Why did the math book go to a therapist? Because it had a lot of problems. Didn't.
That's terrible.
That's bad.
That's a dad joke.
Yeah, you have two here.
All right.
The ketchup one.
Oh, you can go. I don't remember.
I accidentally rubbed ketchup in my eyes. Now I have hindsight. Why do cows have hooves instead of feet?
Oh, I've heard this one. Something with their toes.
Because they
lack
lactose.
Lactose.
Those are both from her.
All right.
welcome.
Mi madre.
With that, we will end. Thank you for joining us, ladies. And we'll see you again on episode 140. And you guys have a great week. Love you. Bye.